This is for my people in the front or Covenant's pit in the nosebleed section. It's Prey, Twig, Tank Tom, all on the front line of Isthmus, taking the 2 frontline positions, and the Geo.
And for those of you not in the know, that is a Hilltop Hoods reference, and since we're Aussie, that makes a lot of sense. For the rest of the world, listen to their music, it's really good.
Probably the first song I actually learnt every lyric off by heart when I used to drive to basketball to try and pump myself up nosebleed section.
I think that's the first song that most Australian teenage guys learn all the words to.
It was the cool thing to do in the early 2000s. Shows our age a little bit.
It's still... Nah, it has not. It still stands up.
It's still good.
It's still good.
All right, I'm going to quickly talk about my frontline role here. So what I've done, I have asked Ollie, another member of AllReasonNoLogic, to give me the first couple of the titles that he's produced, meaning that I've gone straight into a lab without even any eco. I think I built the metal extractor and the winds after the lab, making sure that I got 2 res bots right on the front line, really poorly managing the second one. I didn't put it on the area mechs. I think I must have missed a command there. Getting onto that now. So yeah, trying to get majority of that metal in our bank rather than in theirs. We are quite lucky. They've got their lowest and third to lowest experienced players on the front line. So good bit of aggression. We're going with some rascals through here. I've been handed those, and we're going to try and see what we can do against Admiral here. It's bullying a little bit on the newest player in the game, and these are going to get some damage because we're going into construction turrets, which I definitely wouldn't recommend this early as a player on the front line. You want to really get some more units out before you do that. And these pawns, I've pulled back on the pawns. I probably should have kept them going through and commit. But we are going to get quite a bit of value there.
Why is the mace not firing?
I think it was just obstructed by the building itself, the edge of the building, and then there was a constructor in front of it. So these units are quite they've been built, they've been designed so that you'd need to have line of sight out of whatever point that they shoot from. There we go, those pawns are getting around the corner there, and we're going to keep harassing this same base. Hurt where it's already hurting. This isn't a unranked game. We are taking this one somewhat seriously, trying to get the win, and unfortunately this player here is not going to be loving that. There goes down another mechs. Now going for that build power, and Commander, I'm not doing the best micro there. I really need to separate those, and luckily still alive. We'll see what they can do.
So let's have a quick talk about what made that possible. So Twig went straight into the lab for the res bots. I went straight into the rovers, instantly building the rovers. One of the things that's important to secure this medal is having the support for those units. You can't just go into those red spots and expect them to live, and you also can't sacrifice your early economy by going double resbot into the units you need to defend them. You have to share the burden, and that's also where Ollie giving me the power to do it as well makes a big difference. Then the call was made when we didn't see the frontline units to push in deep and see exactly what sort of damage we could do. One of the areas that we could have improved on here, once you effectively take out one player on the front, one of a handful of things is going to happen. You're going to see a response from air, which means you want to have at least one unit at the front that can deal with things like shurikens. You're going to see a response from a few of the other players, potentially the Geo, potentially the third front line, the one that's sharing the pond, pushing units up to the front, which means that you want to do something similar, because if they do, you're going to need the units to deal with 4 front. If they don't, you're going to have the units to win front, which is an area that we certainly could have improved on this match. We played it somewhat standard once we finished that first push. We had a plan, and that plan was to get the medal and then go into a 2-player front where one goes long range and one goes into tanky units. So Twig's got the maces, I've got the lashes. But we should have capitalized, knowing that the front was going to be weak, by pushing through with a lot of the bruiser sort of units.
Sorry, just a bit distracted there on screen. You can really see Admiral's just been punched again by those maces, and Prey's doing well now that with these lashes at a distance targeting this other player. I'm not doing the best here. I've got Maces just sitting here. They should be ahead of Prey's.
I should be with you with these lashes.
Up on the front line.
That's
yeah.
the biggest thing. If I was with you with these lashes, there's nothing the other team could do about this push.
Unfortunately, our air player, who is our highest ranked player, just completely AFK with the units and could have got some more damage here. But unfortunately, now these are getting taken out by these frigates. Those Shurikens were sitting there for practically 60 seconds just doing their thing with no reaction. Finally comes through and we will see those go down, but it's just a little bit too late for it to actually have any sort of advantage. But the front line is looking very healthy for us.
We've got the units to deal with the problems we're having, but we're just not fighting as a team, which is a massive contrast to the previous game. And it's part of the reason that we talked about the previous game the way that we did. We're playing this as two individuals on the front, which is the habits we've formed from the OS to 25 journey, but we need to play this as a combined front line.
We are doing all right, except I have just not put my lab on repeat, and I'm so low on energy right now, especially with that energy down at about 7, the wind about 7. I'm just fully reliant on that wind, plus the couple titles I got from Ollie at the start of the game. So although we're winning frontline, it's not one.
And if you look at the Geo spot, one of the things that we said would happen is currently happening. The players have worked together to get a Tsar out at 6 minutes and 20 seconds, and that thing's going to come powering down at the front line, and that deals with everything we have.
Yeah.
So I've got the T2 lab up on Geo and have some hounds that are on their way out. I remember during this game I was asking you guys what you wanted and got like 4 different answers, and then you went, just give us something.
Actually, we all gave the same answer. It was Sheldon's.
But unfortunately, Sheldon's not in this game for you. You were Armada.
Yeah.
So Hounds, definitely not as good as Sheldon's. They've only got a range of 650, which is quite a bit less than the Sheldon's, I think. I actually don't even know what the Sheldon's are.
And without the Gauss mode, they no longer deal with air, which is a big loss.
So this is a real problem here. Like when this comes to the front line, what I will say, and Tommy is very good at T1 and not as experienced in T2, he was asking us, what do you want? As the Geo player, it's your job when you put down that lab to go to the front line and see what they're up against and make that decision yourself. Because honestly, I'm terrible at my multitasking. I can't micro and make decisions at the same time on what someone else needs to do. So I'm panicking right now. I see that SAR and I'm just like, I just need everything. Give me everything, Tom.
The reality is the answer to this question, if you're in this position as the in the positions that we're in, both Twig and I need to swap to spam units. We need to pull our units back to keep them alive. We are going in for the D-gun, but we're doing it into their defensive line as compared to waiting for that Tsar to pull out. Just seed the ground, get the damage, seed the ground, let the Tsar pull out towards you. Try and snipe it with a common. While that's happening, get units that are going to trade effectively with it. The Tsar has a slow turret. It only fires at it has a slow fire speed. If you spread out ticks, they will actually be able to get a great surround on it, and they will trade incredibly efficiently with it.
As the Geo player, Tom's unit that he could have gone for instead of these Hounds is actually the Ghost. These Ghosts can get on the front line and then can be Control B or Control D, depending on your setups. That's what you want to get there to stun that SAR, to get it in position so you can rush it with all of those lashes that Praedyth has.
The other thing the ticks do is that if you can get them into your ally, next to your allies' units, the Tsar will do the damage for you. So, for example, the biggest problems that we have right now are that Banisher, even though the Tsar's an existential threat, the actual problems are the Banisher, the Obscurer, and the Omen. If you can get a tick next to the Obscurer and the Omen, then suddenly the Tsar kills its own support units. You can then surround the Banisher, and even if the ticks die, the Tsar's going to do a hefty amount of damage to it. And then you can take the Tsar out. There is basically no support here, and even some of the support is Janus, which will do just as good a job of taking out the Obscurer and the Omen for you. So swapping to the Rascal, swapping to the Tick, that's a sort of unit that can solve this problem, particularly as Twig was saying, going into the with the T2 lab going into the Ghost or the equivalent on the Cortex team, getting that stun onto it will do the same thing. But you have to make those decisions. And again, this is something where we know that fast Tsar is a strategy. We weren't expecting it here. We stuck to the strategy that we were on. We didn't adapt to it, and that's what we need to do. We won front very hard, but then we didn't play as a team to push front. And now we're feeling that in another spot as well, as the Red C player is pushing well and truly into our Lilac C's base, and we're now going to have to deal with C as a threat as well.
I feel like I'm about to fall here. I've gone into a panic Starlight because I don't know what else to deal with the front line. And the Starlight
does work in this situation.
Will work while they don't have spam. So it's the best option possible, especially because what you've done is perfect. You've gone into the spam, which has put them off. And unfortunately,
see, look at that. Look at the front line. Look how much damage is there. That was one rover not even getting in. One rover got close, and the Tsar predicted where it would go and nearly killed all of its own units.
Got to take our attention elsewhere. Tank Tom still building up that eco there.
Oh god,
I'd been stalling on metal because I'd given you guys the units first.
Yeah, and unfortunately, giving sharpshooters probably don't have. They use up too much energy. Without the storage, I don't think there's any chance of these.
I think I was planning on still having them, but I didn't know that this comm was here.
And that's where, if you start losing C, the radar is so important, because one radar deals with this problem.
This was also my first Geo game that I've ever played.
Oh yeah, not complaining to you. This is for the people watching. If you're in a position like this where you've lost some C control, a radar is an essential part of your defense, because this comm could have been cleaned up by a handful of units. But unfortunately, it just completely destroys the base because there is nothing to deal with it, and it managed to get in without being detected. I also could have had a radar, though mine is quite a bit further forward, so it actually only just managed to sneak in based on the location of my radar. But that's a key thing. The comm is a crazy powerful unit, and if you see the opportunity to do this in a game, go for it. Even if you lose the comm and the explosion takes out the Geo, I'm going to call that super worth.
He hasn't even lost his comm. It's just nicely done out of Orlich. Okay, what's it looking like?
And that puts us in a really tough spot. We've been pushed back. We haven't been able to deal with the Tsar. We haven't been able to deal with the Banisher. We've lost our potential for T2 support. The air player isn't helping, because that's another thing the air player could have done. Even though you have the Banisher there, provided you spread units out at the start, you can definitely get enough onto the Banisher to stun it before it takes out the shurikens, because it does fire incredibly slowly. And then we could have swept in to kill the Tsar, but again, that requires that you have the right units. The Whistlers would have taken ages to kill it. So while the Whistlers are doing a decent job of keeping some of this pushed back, one Tsar shot's going to take a big chunk of them out. You just have to adapt to what is on the front line, which is something we didn't adequately do this match.
Yeah, I've got a couple of snipers and the one Starlight. They're just not going to be enough without the spam. If I was Ollie, I probably would have gone into spam at this stage. He is going into these Starlights because they will take out the Tsar. But all we need to do is take out the one Tsar and those two Banishers, and then the Starlights aren't going to do as well against the T1. They're going to do well, but it's not going to get through their front line. They'll be able to react. They've already got Pork in the middle, but they are pushing now, and things are not looking too great because we've got T1 right up there against their T2. I've decided to reclaim my lab because I feel like it's just pretty much a lost cause, and giving that medal to the back line is probably a better option.
And again, we still don't have that critical air support on the front. When you're being pushed this hard, someone has to support. We don't have the units to hold, and even though that's technically our role, if you don't want to lose the game as a player, you need map awareness and you need to adapt. You might lose that extra APHIS, you might lose that extra fusion, you might lose later to not having enough fighters, but if you don't do something, you lose now.
Yeah. So how would we done this better? In my opinion, like we had a really good frontline push at the start down the down this side here on the right side, and if we had enough units to go through and stop this Geo player from getting that, essentially that SAR is what was won that front line.
I didn't support you enough, and when we did have the opportunity to win, we didn't swap to a strategy that would win us the game. Tank Tom we still pushed Tank Tom to go T2 when T1 units were what we needed.
Yeah.
We didn't ask for air support. We didn't ask Ollie to go into T1 units, and we didn't batter down their front the way we should have. But the really big factor, even without any of that, if I had backed you up with my whistlers instead of sitting them and slowly sieging units that were being repaired, I would have been able to take out the shurikens that were on you. You would have had the range fire supports and the vision range, so you would have been able to deal with comms because there wouldn't be enough energy to walk them around while they were invisible at that stage of the game. We would have been able to push into the Geo player no problem.
Yeah, you can really see what
Players
the spam's doing here. A few of these ticks are actually getting through even at this stage of the game, and that is just because there is nothing there to really stop them. Yeah, they're very fast, and they take away a lot of firepower from these units' maces on the front line, and these Rocketeers don't hit them too easily either. So now we're pushing back a little bit, and the eco is not too bad for us as a team, but I do feel that with the red player on their team taking full control of the sea, that is their win condition. Going into the T3 lab, oh, you can see the comment there from Dakota in the chat, this is going to hurt. It's
Yes,
it is a problem.
And again, this is something where with the position we're in on the front line, I don't have the ability to build coastal defenses. Tank Tom being taken out doesn't have the ability to build coastal defenses. Our entire coast is open, and that is their win condition, and they know it. We know it, but we aren't dealing with it. Tank Tom is trying to deal with it, but unfortunately,
there's been a reset. Like when you've been reset, what are you going to do? Like you're up against players fully established, is about to have their advanced geo up. Once that's up, that's enough to fund Marauders, which are currently being built. Yeah, that's a problem. Lots of bombers here though out of blue. What's this going to do?
Good question. Hopefully a lot, though. To be honest, I would have been happier if they built torpedo bombers.
What I don't like here is that they're going straight through the middle. If I was them, C's been won by a green player. Go through here. And
yeah, actually, that's a really good point. Give them as little time to react to this as possible. Though it does look like with the amount of C that's there is. Oh, sorry, with the amount of fighters that the air battle is going to be won, but unfortunately a whole bunch of these are being lost to some frontline Jags and a single frontline
what has happened here? This G... Oh, surely the G is going to go... Yes, thank God.
So lots of damage done here, but unfortunately this is happening at the same time as Red is getting ready to push in with the Marauders.
Unfortunately, a few bugs there on my screen. Unfortunately, targeting that front line, I think that what this air player
don't target the front line.
Go and take out the back so that our back line becomes the win condition.
And we've just seen these Marauders hitting that coastline now.
Yeah.
And there's nothing here to stop them.
Yeah, with the air players sending everything to the front line. This is where the eco player needs to completely stop what they're doing and just go into snipers to stop these Marauders, because nothing's going to stop these for the air player. I mean, these Wasps will do a little bit, but they're not going to do enough to stop them getting massive amounts of damage, especially with no commanders in the back line here. No D guns are going to be had. We are still trying to push this front line, but there's still enough there. And yeah, this is not good.
This is actually a lot closer than I remember it being. I felt like this one was a very rough, was very rough of a loss for us. But the reality was a handful of different decisions could have turned this one around, because these Marauders could have been these Marauders very much so could have been defended if the eco player was actually doing the actually swapped into units early enough to deal with them. As soon as they were spotted, you can stop producing that aphis. You can go straight into unit production, and while Marauders are fast, they're not strong. You can fight them.
A raider up earlier and didn't lose my entire base, there would have been unit production at the geo spot as well that would have been able to, if nothing else, slow these down.
And the Marauders taking out the eco position, that player going into welders, snipers is what you want against Marauders. They will take them out in a couple shots. There's no chance of the Marauders being caught by welders. They're so slow. And now the second wave of Marauders coming in, wiping out Prey's base. I'm trying to get down some turrets here. We're essentially prolonging the inevitable here, trying to get a couple D guns off. The beamers actually do quite well.
We're doing everything we can to try and win. We're still in their base, and depending on what is there to defend it, just the handful of ticks could be enough to reset both their air and their eco. Unfortunately, their eco player's gone with the mass wind strategy, which means that it's much harder for it to be taken out in one go. And now that those units have basically been cut off, the chances of us winning have gone down significantly because we're going to keep dealing with red. Red isn't doing more eco shenanigans. They're just getting more units and they're going to keep pressuring. We still have red units in the back cleaning up our successful C. Unfortunately, our C player just wasn't able to get that same level of conversion. They didn't go into that C lab. They went into a Epoch instead.
Wow, that's
and
a
while
lot
the
of
Epoch
metal.
is a safe choice because it keeps you in the C that you've won, it doesn't actually push more than the geo spot and the C spot that you've already won.
Have a look as well, like if you do get that epoch out, what's it going to do? Maybe take out your opponent's C player tiny eco base here. Geo's already gone, Frontline's already gone, so it's not actually going to do anything apart from hold. It's not a win condition. Really unfortunate for our team that a few decisions are what has lost this for us. And Red doing a great job. Ulrich just dominating there and not over ecoing. Getting the units out that are going to win the game.
Making the smart decisions and the decisions that we need to learn from. One of the things that I do want to get better at in this journey is playing in the C and then converting that into a win. I always find that the T1 to T2 transition in C is a very hard thing to pull off successfully. I also find it very difficult to convert a win in the sea into a win on land, despite the fact that I watch it happen all the time.
Yeah. There goes the second to last commander for our team. Or sorry, third to last. We just res one, I believe. I've got one. Ollie's got one.
Raideth here, and this is a hard cut to another match where we show off the exact opposite of that match, and it's where the front line really takes over. Don't worry, you'll get your stats for the previous game, but we're throwing this one in to force you to watch. Like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff massively helps the video. And let's jump into this one where we have an absolute all-star on the front line. Cookies Duffy from, if you do watch our content, from the absolute fame of King of the Hill, decided to jump in on one of these games and is going to give us a masterclass in exactly what to do.
One thing we're going to see here at Duffy, he's going to put out some cheap units to start with. As you do, you try and get that metal off the front line. And then he's just going to do into something that Tom used to actually do, and he still does sometimes, and that is thug spam. Just continuously building up those thugs, and you get the commander up on the front line. You keep healing those units, and they do really well if they're healed. So if you think of Cortex, you think of the thug. It's a higher DPS, higher health unit. Slow moving, and that really is what Cortex is. Just pulling up this graphic, you can see quite a funny little almost like a meme of a Cortex thug tree. So many units in the Cortex function really take on the persona of the thug, and that is slow moving, higher damage units that just push through those front lines. I like Cortex because it's low APM needed. You just push forward and more metal.
Like commands that way.
Yeah, that's it. Pretty much.
You know that meme where you wipe, you raise your hand and you move it across and you say something. Fight command. That's Cortex in a nutshell. Something I want to really quickly point out. Neither neither Twig nor Duffy went straight into the res bot. They went they didn't use the build power they didn't use the energy provided by Tank Tom to do it. When you look at the OS of the players that you're up against, you can make a decent determination of whether or not you're going to be on that, whether or not you need to be on that front line as quickly. And so even with that, still getting most of the metal in the middle, which is really important. That early metal is what's going to power everything through. And if you look at the build order out of Cookie, you have the 5G, you've got the 5 titles in the background, just 2 wins, and then getting the build power from the construction bots. Now, the construction bot isn't quite as efficient as the build turret, but it is more versatile, and it does give you enough build power to do exactly what's needed. You can see that energy is bouncing very close to the bottom. With the 3 on there, I would say this is something that he's done before. And look at the positioning right at the front line. You've got grunts at the front, which are helping to deal with a lot of these rocket bots. They're giving the vision and allowing the LLTs to get their damage done. And we'll see some more, and we'll almost certainly see some more of the grave robbers coming out the front to deal with this, or using the comm to repair. But instantly in, and this is a very similar position to where we were in that previous game, where we did get units into the frontline players base, dealing damage. Not the most damage, because a lot of these have been taken out, but that one grunt being micro, that little bit better, is going to take out so many of these mexes. The Whistler is here to take it out, but the Whistler's going to take a long time to do it, and can push nice and deep. And while this is happening, again, similar sort of problem right now as what happened before. The aggravators are not grouping with the team, but there's less for them to deal with, and because going bots versus the lashes, more of them out on the front line, less eco than what I had, just a better overall run through.
This is where we're going to really try and push that advantage. We did have a little bit of run via of tanks, but it was well shut down. Tank Tom sending some spam in there to distract them, and I managed to get out just enough units to essentially receive a medal donation without even losing 1 or 2 mexes, and they're back up. And now I'm trying to assist Duffy as best as possible. He's got he's got the strong units. I've got the range units, so I'm trying to take out any towers that get in his way, and then gang up on units, just targeting just 1 unit at a time, and trying to push with Duffy just to make sure he gets full value. We unfortunately have some shurikens coming over. Hopefully we can get a reaction out of our air player. I don't think it's going to happen.
But their comm is on the front line this time, which means that it is possible to shoot them down quite easily. Doesn't even have to put down a air defense turret, because there was only the handful of them and the comm could take care of them. Now we have a push that's running all the way through, a couple of LLTs to hold. There's actually a big opportunity for the purple player, if they hadn't already been shut down, to send units down the side. They could have easily gotten into Duffy's base, but because the pressure is on here, you can actually sort of make an educated guess that players won't really do that.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I could have done better, and same with Duffy, is we're both pretty full on metal. We could have sent it to you, Pradeath, because you're doing the right thing. You're going straight into T2. You're not even worrying about building up your ego. So this is where you've not had any instruction. You've seen what the front line looks like. You've just gone straight into Sheldon's. You know that they're going to be a perfect unit to get up there quickly and keep pressing this advantage. So a good choice there, the Sheldon. And
with that, if I did have extra metal, I easily could have punched these out very quickly, because I'm not build power limited, I am metal limited.
But now that metal going back down. No, it's not. It's energy that's down for us at the moment. Yeah, we are struggling.
Yeah, with 6 wind, and all of us down on wind. But again, this is where areas where this could have been improved. Tank Tom is doing a good job with sending the spam in, but that extra metal and extra energy, throw that to your player that's getting the T2 units out. Get that bigger T2 force. Twig, you've got full metal. Send that to me. Duffy, full metal as well.
Give it on through. I'm actually targeting these titles just to make sure that those frontline players can't come back online with their energy, and it's a real massive just hit to the ego for the the blue team and resigning there with such a strong push. You can see multiple colours coming through on the front line. When you hear those T2 on the front line as well, you know that you're not going to get a good reaction. Green had to fully go into defensive mode, so getting delayed, and that puts Praetor at the advantage of the geo position, and all over Red Rover. That is how to push your advantage. Let's jump back into the other game just to see the stats on that one. Just quick stats on this one though. You can see there just damage dealt like crazy at the start, and look at those high percentages damages out of even Tank Tom as well.
I didn't even get my T2 units to the front despite having my first one out before 5:30.
Like I said, if you hear T2 unit detected,
after your front line's already collapsed, you know it's not going to end well.
So yeah, like you've done your job. You've just put a unit in vision of one of their air.
All right, so ladies and gents, we'll send you back to the stats of the first video of the first game, and we hope you enjoyed this one.
Ollie's got one. Marauder's still picking stuff apart in the back line here, just no reaction. The Epoch now trying to take out a Marauder. It's not the unit for it. Get it on the front line actually doing something. But unfortunately, yeah, this player here probably should have gone into even hovers or something like that, because the Razorbacks are there.
Hovers would have been sick.
Well, even T1 hovers.
T1 hovers would have been sick.
Well, they would have got them out before the Razorbacks got out if they reacted in that way and just pushed, because there's nothing stopping just going straight through this lane here. And this is where Red's just been like, I'm the win condition. What do I need to do? The cheapest T3 in the game, the Marauder. They're not too expensive. Easily has the eco for it at plus 130 metal per second. And with that advanced geo up, that's all you need to fund Marauders. So good decision there. And they've essentially done this single-handedly in the damage dealt. Their eco players getting a lot of eco up, but probably could just be doing...
I haven't actually seen their units at all. So
apart from these two Razors.
Something which I want to point out is even with all the problems our team is facing, and we have just passed that surrender, so it was unfortunately our loss for this one. Look at the coverage that the red player has for their radars. They've popped a radar down on the front line. They've popped one down at their entrance. They popped a couple down in these locations. They don't have a lot of sea defenses, but they have full radar coverage of the sea, which means even if we tried to run something through, we tried to find that gap, they'd be fully aware of it, and they would hopefully be able to deal with it by the time it arrived, or get the air player to deal with it. This is the kind of thing. It's 8 radars, which means that it's I don't actually know how much a sea radar costs. Let me find a
130.
Find a T1 builder.
130.
130. So it's about 1,000 metals worth of radar, but it's complete safety from the sea. Air's not going to be able to find its way in. Sea's not going to be able to find its way in. Amphibious units are not going to be able to find their way in. And that's a very cheap response for something that for what you would normally need full coastal defenses for. So really, really well played out of the red player, and someone that if you ever do want to pop in and watch some replays for a particular position, not a bad idea to just search them up on the website and see what they do.
All right, quick look at those stats there. You can see the red player really coming online for the damage dealt. Eco, relatively even, but you do see actually we've got 3 players doing quite well on the eco there in the back line. Unfortunately, the air player not converting that into a win for their the team. They actually have more eco than the eco player does for a lot of it, and then their opponent, the cream player, probably about half the eco for their air player. So yeah, if that player managed to do a little bit more damage, that bombing run that came through did really well at the geo. That should have gone straight to the eco straight afterwards, and then up to their C player, or into defenses. And our eco player, unfortunately, just ecoing and not actually reacting to what's happening in the game whatsoever. If you're the eco player, you don't have a lot to do. You sit there and do a little bit of SimCity. Quite a fun game, but you need to react.
Part of your job is to make sure that everyone else stays alive long enough that you can roll through.
That's right. All right, guys.
600 wins is what the orange air player got up to.
Let's now jump into another one as part of this video and have a look at what we should have done differently on the front line. Because one critical thing for us was that turning point where we could have pushed our advantage and won the game really early, but we didn't have the units from other players on the front line, and we weren't supporting each other or communicating in the right way, myself and Pradith. So jumping into that one now.